Hello everyone, it is good to be back. I haven't been here in a while. It is January 23rd. It is day 475 of the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, and we have 94 hostages in Gaza. Every single time I came up here, it was 100 and it kept being just stuck on that number. But we're finally getting down to bringing the hostages back. Here are the articles for today from Yediot Achronot. Two very unfortunate things. One of them might be hopeful. So here it says, Hamodi'in itken, the intelligence updated, shebe'aza ne'erachim l'shigur, that Gaza is about to sort of launch an attack. Misibat HaNova lo hufseka, the Nova Festival was not cancelled. And then the other one says, Mechakim lepeima hashniya, we're waiting for the second release of the hostages. Let's get into all the news. Okay, so here it says, Hameda hadramati, the dramatic information, al ha'achanot liyeri al Israel, for the preparations to launch an attack on Israel. So a lot of information is coming out right now about what happened the night before the 7th of October. And so they're actually revealing that there was intelligence information that came in that was extremely critical, but somehow it sort of fell between the cracks. And here they're sort of giving us a timeline of what happened when. So here it says at 2 a.m, they received reports about some abnormal activities within Hamas. And then at 3 a.m, the command of the Southern District, they sort of understood that something wrong was happening because of what happened with these SIM cards. They understood that there was some kind of abnormal activity, that within Gaza, all of these Israeli SIM cards were suddenly being activated. They didn't know why. And so they were sort of looking into what that could be. They decided that at 8:30 in the morning, they would sort of come together and talk about this situation, because they didn't understand just how big this attack was going to be. They thought maybe they were preparing for some kind of launch, some kind of attack, but they didn't know how big it actually was. We know now in retrospect, if they knew, they would of course cancel that Nova Festival. They would have, brought everyone up to the border to protect the border. But that was not what happened. It was sort of too late at that point. Here you can see the aftermath, just a little tiny snippet, of course, of what happened. In the Nova Festival especially, the results were so devastating that hundreds were murdered, and also many were taken to Gaza as hostages. And a lot of people, when they see and understand that this information is being revealed, they're asking, why? What happened? Why didn't anyone, quote unquote, do anything? Of course, as I said, in retrospect, things look so completely different. And this is why people are calling for an investigation that is apart from the government, sort of like a civil investigation, because they don't trust the government, because they said, we couldn't trust you back then. Why should we trust you now to sort of, perhaps even not reveal all of the information, because a lot of people are afraid for their position in the government or their position, in the IDF, in the army. And so the families of the hostages, they're not only fighting for the release of their loved ones, and also the people, of course, that lost, someone on the 7th of October, but they're also just calling for an investigation. And I want to actually jump to another article that sort of is revealing something about the intelligence and how sometimes things slip between the cracks. So here it says, המחבל שדקר בתל אביב, the terrorist that stabbed in Tel Aviv, הושאר פעמיים על ידי שב"כ, was permitted sort of entrance twice by the Shabak. And so what happened, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. So this terrorist, he came from Morocco through the United States, where he had a green card. He was a permanent resident. And he basically came to Israel through Natbag, and was also stopped at the New York consulate and at Natbag. And what's really, really telling is that if they would have just looked into his Facebook, they would have seen really incriminating posts that he had that were anti-Israeli, and they really missed that. Here you can see in this picture, the terrorist, his name is Abed El-Aziz, just, on Allenby Street in Tel Aviv buying a pizza. And he came to one of the restaurants and stabbed 5 people. Thank God none of them were killed. They were injured, of course, and in recovery. But it really comes to show that sometimes, as well-meaning as the Shabak, as the general security is, Netbag, all the people involved, some of those things fall through the cracks. But I want to also shed some light about how many terror attacks were prevented in 2004. Over 1,000 terror attacks were prevented this year because of the work of the Shabak, of the general security, all the work of the IDF, intelligence. And so I don't want it to seem as if this happens all the time. We had a really great, fall, if you will, or in Israel we call it Hamichdal Hagadol, the great neglect of the 7th. But I think we should also really realize that not everyone is guilty. It's really easy to be angry about these things, to say, where were they, what happened? But there are also many, many, many people that are trying to do their job, and not everyone should be blamed because of the actions of some. And that's something that's really important to understand, because when you deal with, the soldiers, the policemen, we have to also appreciate the work that they do and the fact that they do sacrifice their lives. Intelligence does do everything that they can to get this information. Why it happened on the 7th, I don't know that we'll ever truly know why it happened, apart from understanding the intelligence and how we sort of failed in that way. But it's really important to understand that not everyone is guilty, and that there are a lot of police officers, IDF, and intelligence that are worthy of our appreciation. Now let's talk about the second release of the hostages in this first phase of the hostage deal. It says here, Nerachim l'shichur hasheni, they're preparing for the second release. Danim al hemshech ha'eska, they're debating about the continuation of the hostage deal. So what happened a few days ago, for some of you that might not be informed, is that we had 3 hostages, female hostages, come back to Israel: Emilia, Romi, and Doron. And it was such, wow, I was watching it with one of our friends here at All Israel News, and we were just glued to the TV watching every single moment of it. And truly the feeling is that they are one of us. That is my sister, that is my friend, that's your daughter, that's your wife, that's someone who you can relate to in life, because we've all become sort of like a family. We know the lives and the details about these people and the people that they love, and that's sort of how we get to know these completely anonymous people that they're suddenly put into the limelight as forever released hostages. And so the second hostage release is going to be on Yom Shabbat, this coming Saturday, and they're planning on releasing 4 female hostages. One of them is Arbel Yehud, which is a citizen, and the rest are observers. We talked a lot about the female observers that are supposed to come back, and you guys might also remember these female observers from the time where they were captured, all of them young women, and just bloodied, hair matted, just completely disheveled and terrified for long hours in this migunit, in this like shelter for rockets, just surrounded by terrorists. It's just such a horrible vision. We don't know what they've gone through during the time that they've been in captivity, but we're really praying that they come back. We also know, and I'm sorry for this if this is sensitive information, but some of them have also been sexually abused, and that's something that they're really taking into consideration when they're being released, that they sort of have female doctors and medics that come and help them, that they can check them. One of the things that's also very gruesome is to check if they're pregnant. All these things are very real, and it's facts that you sort of have to deal with in Israel, and also their parents are terrified to sort of discover what they've gone through when they come back. And of course we know that the Hamas made a spectacle of them, the first hostages that came out, and it's just, we're just hoping that they come out safely from that situation. So on Shabbat, on Saturday, we're supposed to receive the names of those female hostages that are supposed to come out, but also the other names of the 33 that are supposed to come out alive. It's just really unfortunate, because you know that within these 33 there are going to be some that aren't alive. And so I think everyone's sort of holding their breath, and of course please pray for the families, because Some of them will receive coffins, and some of them won't see, their loved ones come out, even if they're limping on their own 2 feet. And so if you're a person of faith, please pray for Israel during these days, because it's very critical. Some are not convinced that Hamas will follow through. Even after this first stage, they're convinced that after this there won't be, the ceasefire won't be, because they will break it, which is a very real possibility with Hamas. But please pray that as much as it is possible that the hostages will come home. And we want to thank you guys for walking this journey with us, for caring about Israel, for caring about the hostages, because we care for them as if they're our own family. And we hope that you guys do the same. Thank you guys so much for listening. I didn't do the typical good news, because I'm hoping that this will be good news enough that they'll be released. But if you want more Israel-related content, go to allisrael.com. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and hopefully we'll see you guys next time with some very, very good news.